When the first M2 was released, many people said it wasn't a real M car since it didn't have a real M engine. It featured an N55 engine instead of the S55 used in the M3 and M4. But that changed with the M2 Competition and CS, which are now among the best sports cars in their class. They shared engine and mechanical components from the bigger M3 and M4 siblings. It was such a success that BMW brought the M2 back for the second generation, and it is more potent than ever. The second gen was shown in 2022 and was fitted with a powerful 58 engine and shared the same mechanical underpinnings as the M3 and M4. This new BMW M2 has become an even more serious sports car that punches way above its weight. But it doesn't get the xDrive all-wheel drive system like its bigger brothers. But BMW has decided to take this further and introduce a CS model just like the previous generation, and here's what we know so far. The new G87 M2 is now much faster, but is also significantly heavier than the previous car at 3,850 pounds. It is more than 200 pounds heavier than the previous M2, M3 and M4. This is because it gets the full interior and technology features just like other M cars. The previous M2 saved costs in many parts, which resulted in less weight overall, but gained a bit more weight with the competition when some of the proper M parts were put back in. Because the M2 now sits on an M4 platform, guess where the interior comes from. So far as showing off to your mates goes, the new M2 feels more spacious and far better trimmed inside than before. Overall, this feels like an expensive place to sit, stuffed with equipment. More spacious than the old M2 as well, as you'd hope from the wheelbase swelling. Atop the dashboard lies the now familiar 14.9-inch curved display, with its annoyingly unintelligible dials and fiddly menus. And now the heater controls live in the screen. It's more irritatingly and less safe to use on the move than the old M2. The new one feels more opulent, but it's come at the expense of common sense and user-friendliness, which rivals like the Porsche Cayman and Toyota GR Supra with its, ironically BMW-based interior. As usual for a modern M car, you can avoid delving into the furiously complex screen too often by taking the time to set up your favorite M1 and M2 modes while stationary and armed with the instruction manual. These are then saved and accessible via the little red cat's tongue levers on the steering wheel. As an optional extra, you can spec the carbon fiber seats from the M4, complete with the silly thigh gutter, spoiling your attempts to left foot brake and causing passengers to judge your lifestyle choices. The stock response is, actually they're phenomenally supportive and surprisingly comfortable long distance. Having now sampled both styles of seat, we'd recommend saving a four-figure sum and sticking with the standard seats, which are easier to dismount, plenty supportive enough and very comfortable to boot. Seat heating could be a bit more powerful, mind you. And the illuminated M badges in the headrests are, as always, disgusting. The current M2 started strong with as much power as the previous Gen M3 CS, which made 453 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. The new M2 already makes the same power, but with a little less torque. Now, there are speculations that the new M2 CS could make over 500 horsepower, which should be a close figure. The previous F87 M2 CS made the same power as the M3 Competition, but less than the M3 CS, and we expect the same number here. Realistically, the new M2 CS could make as much power as the current M3 Competition at 580 horsepower and much more power than any previous M3 and M4. This should be more than enough power for a car of its class, as the base M2 is already a very fast vehicle. BMW's xDrive system is not available for the M2, and this should remain the same for the CS just like the previous generation. Power is not the only change expected. Suspension parts, brakes and tyres are likely to be improved as well. The suspension setup will be stiffened to help the car handle better and control the added performance gains. While M Performance brakes are already available, most people might opt for carbon ceramic brakes for better stopping power. Finally, it should get stickier rubber, most likely Michelin Cup 2 or Cup 2R tyres for better grip. There is no denying that the BMW M2 will offer immense power and performance, but it comes at a hefty price tag. The previous M2 CS was already a very expensive car with a starting price of $85,000, and well-optioned cars were over $95,000. That is a lot of money, as cars like the Shelby GT500 offered more power and performance than that car. The previous M2 had a base price of $53,000, but the new M2 starts around $64,000. We can safely predict that the new M2 CS will cost over $90,000, and well-optioned ones will cross the $100,000. This is an insane amount for a baby BMW, but this isn't a baby sports car anymore. It is now a serious contender in its space and can easily go toe-to-toe with the top-spec Porsche Caymans, which is the leader in this segment.